Speedway Media Center. I'm Doug Rice of the Performance Racing Network. Honored to act as your MC today. And on behalf of Hendrick Motorsports and Arrow McLaren, thank you for being here for a very exciting announcement that will have to do with May of 2025. And so we're thrilled. We've got a lot of folks here. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize some people in the audience today. President and CEO of Speedway Motorsports, Marcus Smith. I saw Marcus walk in here a little bit ago. Thank you, Marcus. Also, the Chief Operating Officer of Speedway Motorsports, Mike Birch. Got to recognize Mike. He's my boss. Greg Walter, President and General Manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Doug Bowles, the President of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, is also in the house today. Eric Warren, Executive Director, General Motors Motorsport Competition. From NASCAR, President of NASCAR, Steve Phelps. Steve, nice to have you here today. And we've got a group from Hendrick Automotive here today. Our Hendrick Automotive group is comprised of J.P. Brown. He's the president. The COO is Gary Davis. Daryl Jackson is Vice President of Financial Services and Fixed Operations. Brian Johnson is Vice President of Marketing. And the Vice Chairman of Hendrick Companies, Bobby Rice. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to start off with a quick, short video here. Thank you very much. We can go ahead and get our 5 panelists to go ahead and take a seat here. That'll be great. I think most of you recognize these folks, but just in case you don't, quick introductions. The sporting director of Arrow McLaren IndyCar team and the winner of the 2013 Indianapolis 500, Tony Kanaan. Tony, thanks for being here. Appreciate that. The CEO of McLaren Racing, Zach Brown. Kyle Larson, the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion and the driver of the number 5 HendrickCars.com Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. The guy in the middle, Rick Hendrick, owner of Hendrick Motorsports and chairman and CEO of Hendrick Automotive Group. And all the way down, Jeff Gordon, 4-time NASCAR champion and vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports. And Zach, we're going to let you tell everybody why we're all here today, please.
Well, based on when I arrived, I think we've given it away. But I love to hear it, so I will repeat it again. We have some unfinished business to try and win the Indy 500, and of course the NASCAR race following a couple hours later, to be partnering with Mr. H and Hendrick Motorsport, being sponsored by HendrickCars.com, working very closely with legendary Jeff Gordon, and of course having a current legend in our race car, and Kyle Larson, is a privilege and an honor, and very excited. And I put on an even better show than I think we did this year.
Well, thank you, Zach. Kyle, he mentioned the phrase unfinished business. You're going to do this again in 2025. What are your goals and expectations now, knowing what you learned this last time around?
I would say my goals would be to complete 1,100 miles, or get to do both. That was a really important thing for me to get to do both races, and we didn't get that chance this year, unfortunately, due to weather. So as he said, kind of felt like unfinished business, and just really want to get the chance to do what the others have done who've attempted the double. So super grateful for the opportunity once again. Thank you to Mr. H and everybody at Arrow McLaren as well for getting this deal together for me, and let me try and live out another dream of doing the double. It was really cool to do the Indy 500 this season. But to me, it's all about getting those 1,100 miles.
Mr. Hendrick, this was the story of the year in motorsports leading up to it. Let's take a look at it from the sponsorship side. As a team owner, I know that's pretty important. How impactful was this?
It was way more than we expected, the response. For Hendrick cars, it was, we measure all of the leads and all of the follow-up after the race and during the race. And even before the race in practice, it was just blowing up our internet. So it worked out really well for Hendrick cars. And it was a real honor to be at Indianapolis. I think this year I won't be quite as nervous as I was last year walking in, but Roger Penske and the track welcomed us with open arms, and NASCAR supported us, and I think it was good for both organizations. And it was unfinished business, and we're looking forward. Zach and his team, I know I have run extra cars before in my career, and I didn't expect to have the quality I should have, but Arrow McLaren gave us exactly the same equipment that they were racing in the other cars, and the speeds were there, and the team was just motivated, jacked up, excited as we were, and it couldn't have been a better marriage going into that race, and weather just cost us a lot.
And speaking of the weather, it obviously interfered with Kyle's participation this year in the 600. I know you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, we're going to run the 600. We will be here for the 600. If that means having to cut the race short in Indy, we will, because my commitment to NASCAR is that we're in NASCAR, and that's where we run for the championship. And so if weather catches us, Tony will get in the car, and I don't know whether he'll. What are you laughing at? You're not going to stop?
Tony.
Oh, Tony.
He's laughing at me.
Tony's praying for rain.
Get the cobwebs knocked off of him.
Jeff, before we get into the logistics question, the fact that Tony's down here laughing about being the backup driver, I saw you sort of wince.
No, Jenna wins over there. I don't think there could be a better backup driver than Tony Kanaan. I think we all hope that doesn't happen. But I've been out of the car for a while, so I think I share in Tony's kind of reaction of when you haven't done it, you're not out there every week, and you're not practicing all month. You don't necessarily want to be called up to bat in that situation, but when you do, I know that Tony will step up if that happens.
Jeff, this is a big logistical challenge. Did you learn some things last year that'll make this one a little less challenging?
Yeah, we've been working really hard back, with our engineering group, and we have figured out how to control the weather. So we have got that solved. We won't have to worry about that again. No, I mean, I'm so proud of our team for so many reasons, but logistically, right? We were involved in Le Mans the year before, Indy 500 and the double this year, and to do it the first time, there's just always things that you can do better. So the efficiencies, I thought it went really well in every aspect, but I think our whole team knows that given the chance again, now that we have that opportunity, we can do it even better. And to see Kyle, what he did this year behind the wheel, the job that McLaren did, Arrow McLaren, I'm really excited to see the results that can come from this as well.
Zach, how did this benefit both series and both events, the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indy 500? There was a tremendous amount of crossover here.
I think it benefits everybody. So I think race fans are race fans. These are the two biggest forms of motorsports in North America, if not the world. And I think race fans, just like sports fans, are passionate about sport, passionate about motor racing. You might have someone who their first choice is NASCAR, their first choice is IndyCar, their first choice is Formula One, but I think they love the crossover. That's kind of what used to happen. And I think racers, which I consider us all very much racers up here, like to see drivers in other disciplines. It used to happen all the time with the Mario Andretti's, the Dan Gurneys, the AJ Foyts, and it doesn't happen that much these days. A lot of the times the drivers don't want to do it, or the teams don't want to do it. And so it's pretty cool to find two groups and a racing driver who's, put me in, coach. If it's got a steering wheel, I want to race. And I think the fans love it. I think it raises awareness for both series and raises great awareness for the IndyCar teams, the NASCAR teams, and all the partners associated with us.
Tony, as a past Indy champion, 2013, you were able to watch this operation really close last year. What impressed you about Kyle's performance last year and overall?
Well, I think he made my life a lot easier. They call me the coach, but when you have a good driver, they make you look good. I think I've knew Kyle for a long time. We won the 24 Hours of Daytona together, and I knew how calm he was. But back then, I just thought he was young and he didn't know the car, so he just drove, the best he could. And we came to Indy, it was the same thing. How calm he was. He was so calm that he made me extremely nervous, which is not a good thing. I've never thought I was gonna be so excited for someone else driving a race car. And I was so nervous during the race. Zach was there with me, and it was unbelievable. So I think his calmness and his awareness of what was going on in such a new environment was pretty impressive.
All right, now let's go back to Mr. Hendrick here, and Zach will follow up with you on this. Talk about this partnership a little bit of bringing a premier NASCAR team and a premier IndyCar team and the operations together, Rick.
I think that was one of the things that surprised me was the respect that Zach's team had for our team and vice versa. Everybody from our side, it was a really neat blend when we got together. I mean, everybody worked hand in hand, and it was just, here's our goal. This is how we get there. But it felt like I have known those teammates for years, and just planning on Arrow McLaren's part, on our folks. We, like Jeff said, we had 5 airplanes up there, and I had to bum a ride home, and because everybody left me because
I told you we could do it better.
You need to work on that part. But no, it's a lot that goes into that, from practice to running laps. And I mean, Kyle just blew everybody away. But then the prep, Tony's coaching, but the prep of the car and the engineers talking to Kyle, and it was just amazing. I've never seen two groups come together and the culture is kind of mess, and everybody just worked really hard. And from Charlotte Motor Speedway, doing whatever they could do to get us here and to the track with escorts, and same with Indy. Everybody just tried so hard, and I appreciate NASCAR's position and the support they've had. And we talked about it's good for NASCAR and IndyCar. And when we won up there at the Brickyard with the Cup car, I went into the stands, and there were a lot of people wearing the 1100 shirts. And so we had a big crossover of fans, from IndyCar fans, NASCAR fans. So each watched the races. So I think it promoted both sports. And so we're looking forward to a non-rain event, hopefully, and going back and finishing the job.
Zach, we've seen the double done before, but we've never seen this much cooperation, team to team, and it almost blended into one organization. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's a lot of pressure. I feel a little bit more relaxed this time around, but when you have Hendrick Motorsport and Jeff Gordon and Kyle Larson, they know what the best looks like. And to put out an incremental car at Indy is not easy, so it comes with a lot of pressure. Chevy helped us a tremendous amount. It was great to see the Hendrick Motorsport team came and visited and did things like the pit stop, which I thought was really cool. And so, yeah, the gelling of the two organizations was, which was pretty seamless. so that's exciting. I think we benefited. We learned from each other. And yeah, I think if we look back at year one, there weren't, the learnings are kind of small. It went really well. And, we brought Fernando Alonso, which is probably the best comparison because also a driver who had never driven an IndyCar. I consider Fernando to be one of the best drivers in the world, and Kyle matched him every bit the talent around Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So the job Kyle did on track was amazing.
All right, we'll open it up for questions here about the Hendrick 1100. Keep in mind our panelists will be available for some one-on-one opportunities when the formal part of the press conference is open. Autumn and Megan have the mics. Raise your hand and they'll get a microphone to you real quick.
Mike Embry from Auto Week. Rick, this is an obvious question, but I guess it has to be asked. If it rains at Indy, the race starts, Kyle is leading with two-thirds of the way through the race, but you got to go to Charlotte. Are you going to do that?
Yes, sir.
Make my life easy. I'll just finish the job. He'll get another ring for us.
The question was, were we going to bring him back to Charlotte for the 600, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Take him out of the lead if he's leading. Steve Phelps, you want to answer that question? You're not going to answer that?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean,
We made,
Listen,
we
I-
made that commitment now.
yeah.
We're
and
going to be
then,
here, Charlotte.
I think this year went the way it did, and I couldn't be two places at one time, although I would have loved to. But I think I owe it to my NASCAR team, as well, to get here in time to try and win, one of the biggest races of the season, and race that has the most implication to this season as well. So yeah, I mean, right now I'm okay with it.
All right, Bruce.
Bruce Martin of NBCSports.com. Kyle, are you going to participate in the open practice in October at the Speedway as a refresher, or Tony, will you be doing that?
I'm not sure about the test in October, but we're both going to have to do a refreshment at some point. So not sure how to think about that. But the rules are that if you don't race an oval prior to the 500, you have to. We have a test, an open test at the beginning of next year. I think it's April or May. Doug will probably April. That's probably when I'm doing my whatever they call refreshment or
Refresher test.
yeah. I'll leave Kyle with the new tires. You'll give me the junk tires, and we'll do 30 laps each.
But Kyle, how important is that to be part of the open test in order to get reacclimated to the IndyCar, although it didn't really look like it took you long to get acclimated to it in the first place?
Yeah. After going through the whole experience for the past year or whatever, and the extra testing that I did besides, I think it was October maybe of last year, and then we went to Phoenix and then did the open test. I think, I realized that the cars are very similar, so there wasn't much of a learning curve. So I think I would be okay with just doing the April event next year.
Other questions? Okay. Let's go back to Mike one more time here. Thank you, Autumn.
Kyle, last year, what was more stressful for you, kind of figuring out how to race in the pack and the 500, or sitting there Sunday and watching the rain pound down on the racetrack?
Definitely the weather. Nothing really stressed me out too much about anything. I was more stressed leading into, my first laps in an IndyCar, just not knowing what that might be. But then once I got in it, it was fine. So there was zero stress after the first laps I made in IndyCar as far as driving, whether it be qualifying or practice or the race. But yeah, when I just remember, the forecast looked terrible all week, right, for Sunday, and I was like, surely, it's gonna stay really bad, and the Indy 500 will rain out, and I'll go do the Coke 600, and then come back and do the Indy 500 on Monday, and then it starts raining and you're like, all right, everything's on schedule here like it should be. And now the storm's like rolling through quicker than I think we all expected. And I'm like checking my phone every 2 minutes, it seemed like, and hoping that the rain was just going to linger, for another hour, probably would have saved me. But that didn't happen. And then, I mean, my mood before the race wasn't the greatest because, I was expecting it to be different. I thought the rain would hang on and I'd still get the chance to do both, but that didn't happen. So was not in the best of moods leading into the race, but still was excited to get out there and run the Indy 500 about.
All right, Alan?
Alan Cavana, so much money and planning and time and heart goes into this, and one rain cloud, one storm can ruin it all. We saw it. Did any of you can answer, but did any of you think, is this worth it to do it again when one rain cloud can just ruin the day?
Can save the day as well. He can be leading in rains and they cancel the race and we win. So I think we take risks, right? Right, Mr. H, right, boss?
Well, after we sat in the hangar and it was raining and we didn't get to run Charlotte, I thought, that's it, we're done. And then we kind of thought, well, we didn't finish the job and we loved the experience, and let's go do it. Let's go finish the job. And so I don't think it can rain twice like that. The same storm came to Charlotte and knocked us out here. But no, it was disappointing. I know for all of us that, we didn't get in the car here at Charlotte. And it cost him the driver's championship. We still got the owner's championship. But anyway, it's one of those things that competitors, we tasted what Indy's like, and we just really want to do the 1,100 miles.
I think everyone's missing the obvious question, which is my concern. Isn't the weather? But if Kyle wins, how much time does he have to drink the milk, kiss the bricks, and get here on time?
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's
I would
the
think-
timing I'm
I would
concerned
think
about.
that, by the
this.
way, that was the planning. When we were talking about this prior to the Sunday, that was the biggest stress factor, is what happens if he wins it.
Jeff's responsible for that.
So how much time does he have?
It depends on how much Marcus and Phelps stall.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff, we can send Kyle on this way. We can celebrate over there. We have time.
I have no problem celebrating with you, TK. We've done it before, buddy. We can do it again. I do want to say, I don't think you can stress enough, the amount of attention to detail that it takes to put on, to do this collaboration and team up to do this event and do both races. And all that was talked about ahead of this race. And we went through worst case scenarios. And what made it so challenging this particular time is that, we didn't know if we were going to be doing this again. This could have been just a one-time event. It's Kyle Larson's potential, it's obvious his first, could be his only. Rick Hendrick had never been to the Indy 500 before. So this was not just an easy decision of, when it's raining, we just get in a plane and go to Charlotte. And so, I think the reason why I hear Mr. H and the decision-making that's happening now is because we've been there, we've done it. We really hope it doesn't happen like it did this time and we run all 1,100, but a decision has to be made, just like a decision kind of had to be made this year as well.
All right, we'll wrap this in portion part. Well, we've got Bruce and then Jenna, then we'll go to our Zoom calls. Bruce?
This is for Mr. Hendrick. What was the one big wow moment for you, since that was your first Indy 500?
Just to be on the grid and stand there with all the competitors. I mean, all the other teams and the number of people we had there, and just looking down the alley of people and 300,000 plus folks there, and just realizing that we had a car in that race. And I think Jenna said she got in it out there. Can you get in that car?
I was shocked, but I couldn't get out.
But no, that
You have to take it off to go in and out.
I think when you say, you know, you know what the Indy 500 is all about, just like the Daytona 500 or the World 600. That's such a iconic moment in motorsports, and to think that we're there and participating in it, and then Kyle had done so well. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of excitement, pride, or just being there in that moment. And so I think the very beginning, when you look at all the people and just take it all in, it was kind of almost like the first time I went to Daytona and I looked around or watched the World 600 over here as a spectator. So anyway, it was a thrill, and then to watch the preparation of the McLaren team and all the engineers sitting in there, and our engineers and talking and communicating and planning, and it just almost like what goes on at our command center back here, doing a Charlotte or doing a NASCAR race, and the similarities. I mean, the whole experience, if you're a racer, is something that very few people get to do. So it was. I know, Jeff. I had a bad leg, and they gave me a pass, and we didn't know any better. We drove a Suburban out on the grid to get out, and you know, everybody looked at us like we had two heads, but you know, Roger gave me a pass to get out there because I had a bad bum knee. I still have a bum knee, so I'm going to use it again this year.
We'll keep an eye out for that. By the way, speaking of the car that Jenna tried out here a moment ago, the paint schemes for the cars they will use next year are going to be completely different. Am I right on that? That's what I was coached up to say.
Not much, I think. Well, there's the guy that's going to determine that, along with Zach approving it. But no, I think the paint scheme on the car is pretty close, and then the Cup car will probably change. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Jenna, we'll let you wrap up from in here.
Kyle, I know that you, in the moment in Indy, Indy was your focus. And now that you had spotted Tyler an entire race and the way Sunday went and 4 months have gone by, do you have any regrets that you did not get a chance to get any points at Charlotte?
I would have loved to, obviously, but I think it's really easy for everybody to just look at one race too, and forget about all the races that I've crashed in or whatever that have also contributed to me. All I needed was one more point. You know, it could have been any race that could have got me that. So I don't view it as, if I would have skipped Indy 500 and come here and run, you know, that's the one thing that's going to change my season. Obviously, it's very easy to pinpoint that, but I look at the broader picture of my season for sure.
All right, we're going to switch over. We have some remote questions coming in on Zoom. First up from Fox, Bob Pockris. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, for Kyle, what was it about the Indianapolis 500 that made you want to try it again, knowing that there could be weather and just the disappointment you felt in May?
Well, I'm a positive thinker, and I'm about done thinking about the weather. So I think we should all stop talking about the weather and talk about how sunny and warm it's going to be in May of 25. So no, I mean, that's kind of the mindset I have in life is thinking positively about things, and positive things happen. So that's where my mind is at. And yeah, I just look forward to getting another opportunity to relive the experience of the whole month of May, and even the months leading into it were amazing, and moments that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. You know, getting to be there with my family and my kids, and you're getting to see them kind of realize how big of an event the Indy 500 was, and you know how cool it was to see their mom and dad flying around on helicopters and stuff, and getting to races and all that, flying back and forth was cool. So I look forward to reliving it, and having everything go smoothly this year, which everything did go great. This year minus the final 10% of the experience. So yeah, I just look forward to it. I'm grateful for sure for the opportunity, and hope to make everybody proud in both races.
I think in the queue now,
Can you
we've
expand
got
on why?
Adam from, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I was just wondering if, Kyle, if you can expand on what made it feel like a big event. I mean, is it just the number of people there? Is there something about the way you were embraced, or what?
I think there was a lot of things to me personally that made it feel so big. I think, for myself, well, number one, yeah, the amount of fans that are there for the whole 2 weeks. I mean, from the opening day till carb day, like there is thousands of people there every single day. And yeah, I mean, I felt like a fan favorite, obviously, being the only guy in the field to do the double that year. The amount of laps and years that I've spent in Indiana racing, I felt like almost like a hometown guy, even though I'm from California. So all of that was really cool. I just felt like the whole community, racing community, whether it be American auto racing fans or fans from all over the world, were cheering for me. And that event too brings in fans from all over the world. So I get to see people from different countries, and you have them come up to me and tell me, how they are such big fans and are cheering for me and stuff like that. So all that's really cool. And yeah, getting to have my team there, my NASCAR team get to come was a great experience also. And yeah, I mean, I could just go on and on. I mean, that event's huge. It was unfortunate that I didn't get here in time, for the 600, because I think seeing the fan support that I had at the All-Star race when I got there after qualifying was awesome. But that's such a small crowd compared to what's here at Charlotte for the 600. So it would have been pretty neat to land the helicopter in the infield and feel that support. And yeah, I hope that's the last little bit of the experience I'll get to experience next year.
All right, thank you, Bob. Let's move over to Adam from Motorsports Today. Adam?
Yep. Thank you, Adam. Chopper Motorsports Today. This is for Jeff. Jeff, you grew up in Indiana, and it's been documented in the past that if your NASCAR opportunity didn't work out, you would have tried for an IndyCar career. So even with all the success that you had in the stock car at the Brickyard, could you speak on the different emotions that you may have? And I assume you felt it last year too, but just being able to field a IndyCar and the Indy 500 under the Hendrick banner with Kyle?
Well, it was a little bit the opposite. I tried to be an IndyCar driver, and the opportunity just wasn't there, and it was in NASCAR, and the rest is history. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But I no doubt, I can remember as a kid going to Indianapolis for the very first time, and a lot of my heroes that I grew up following, like Rick Mears and AJ Foyt. I mean, these were the guys that I looked up to. So going there for the first time as a kid was a great experience. And if you're a race car driver, you experience that at a young age, you want to be able to experience it. And I didn't think that I would have the nerves, that came along with this experience. But I mean, I got so attached to what this team was doing there, and both sides, right? I mean, because Cliff and the guys in the 5 team, they're preparing to try to win this race, just like Arrow McLaren was trying to win the Indy 500, and to just see Kyle's abilities play out. I'm such a fan of his because of the way he puts the effort into what he does. He's not just an incredible talent. He puts the effort in too. He cares about the people and works, collaboratively. So I was invested emotionally in this, and I'm sure that some of that was because of a kid dreaming of doing this. I never dreamt about doing the double, I'll be honest. It takes a special talent, it takes a special mindset. Kyle has that. And fortunately, Hendrick Motorsports and Arrow McLaren wanted to make this happen. And so, yeah, I loved every minute of it, minus the last 10%. And I think we're going to do it bigger and better and complete this. And I'm pretty excited about the chances of how we can compete or perform in both of the races next year as well.
We'll wrap up our remote questions here with Nathan Brown from the Indianapolis Star. All right, do we have Nathan? All right, guess we are completed then. I want to thank everyone here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Aero McLaren, and of course, Hendrick Motorsports for helping put on this event today. We are greatly appreciative. And both of the racetracks have said, tell everybody that tickets are already available at our websites. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate this.